Welcome to the Floating Dojo. Today we're going to be breaking down a Lyath Silver Age deck. I've been playing this a good amount on Talishar. I've been really enjoying it. And in my locals, it's been super fun. Swinging 18 to 20 damage turns, sometimes dominated, are just pretty gross and hard to counter. And it's had some good success into a lot of the meta decks. Briar, Olympia, Icelander, Oldhim. So it just depends on the other pilot and their draw in the order, but this deck has some pretty good legs, I think, and I'm really happy with the build that I've come up with for it. So yeah, let's just kind of jump into it. We'll start off with our equipment as we always do. We're running two different heads depending on our matchup. The fast matchups, I usually run Horn of the Despised here, get the block, the crowd boos you, can trigger some cool things. The longer matchups, I go Helm of Eisen's Peak. A lot of the times you can get go again from an attack we have to create a opportunity to use your floating resource and gain an intellect, which with Lyath having 5 cards already, that puts you to 6. Have an arsenal left over, that's a 7-card hand. Pretty impressive. For our weapon, we're just running Titan's Fist. We really don't swing the weapon very much at all. It's kind of bait almost for when people see with the Blade Beckoners. They run Blade Beckoners, and I never use this, so they just get 1 block out of the legs or any of the Blade Beckoner equipment they run. But I run it so that I can run a shield, because Stonewall Impasse is pretty cool. If Lyath wins the clash, it's basically a 2-block each time. So I don't win the clashes that often, to be honest. It's for sure a 1-block, which is nice. But on the off chance you do win a clash, it's a 2-block, which is cool, and you can keep it around and gamble on a second 1-block later, which is kind of fun. We run Garland of Spring to pay for some of our either attacks or pumps, depending on the hand, or we use it to pay for Helm of Eisen's Peak sometimes. Boots are running the Blade Beckoners, just as a good generic boots. And then arms, I'm running Swift Strike Bracers, because we are on Nimblism in this deck, and you can just have some insane power output with that. So yeah, pretty simple equipment. Our sideboard equipment is just the 3 null runes here: Lantern, Boots, and Robe. It's nice having the shield, is because you can swap it with the Lantern, which means you keep your equipment when you're running into like Rune Blades and Arcane Heroes, and you don't have to lose a lot of your equipment. You can just get rid of your 1-block shield and keep a weapon and all of your other equipment, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so the basis with this deck is we're really just trying to do one massive attack and keep pressure with some pretty nasty on hits like Short Shrift and Wrecking Ball. I'll kind of start breaking down from our attack actions, and then we'll go to what we're using as a pump, and then the thought process behind some of the other choices in the deck. We have a 36-card main deck with a 4-card sideboard with these options here. I'll kind of explain why we do which and where and how as we get to them. But most of our start pumps are just the ones that either make us boo or are free and pump. So we're running Minnowism. Attack action cards with 3 or less base get +3. We're running a lot of low-powered attacks because of Lyath's ability. It halves them. So things like Low Blow have base 3. Our Short Shrift is base 3, Wrecking Ball base 3, Obscenity is base 3, Bask is base 2. So pretty much all of our attacks are base 3 or lower. All of them are, which always means Minnowism works. We also run Nimblism, which triggers on all of our attack actions except for one, which is Power Play, which may come out for something else purely for that reason. It can brick a little bit, but it hasn't happened yet, so not too worried about it. We also run a yellow Nimblism in the sideboard for the aggro matchups, because sometimes when you have 2 3-turn games, you don't see just the reds in time to use your bracers, so running 4 copies increases those odds and just makes it a little easier. We also run Prime the Crowd, which is a +4, and you get booed, which makes a might and triggers things like Low Blow. You've been booed this turn, or Mocking Blow, because you've been booed, which gives you the extra plus. So these work in tangent with those pretty well. We also run Revolting Gesture. You get +3, make a might. Villainous Pose, +4, crowd boos you. Same concept as Prime the Crowd. And we run Blue Captain's Call, which is kind of cool. It has a little flexibility. All of our attack actions we run basically are cost 0, again, except for that 1 power play. So we can either swing twice, or we can give something +2, which it's a good blue to pitch early, and it also has a lot of value mid-late game. Or in a hand, you just have extra blues. You can just give something +2 or go again, and you can maybe spread some damage out. We also run Sadistic Scowl in the sideboard. It costs 3, and it sometimes can be hard to pull off in the fast matchups because you have to draw blue with it, and you can't put it in Arsenal if you just draw too many reds and yellows because you'll get stuck having to block, and it's a little awkward. But in the matchups where you're going to go longer than a few turns, and you can for sure get this off because you don't have to play it right away, or you can Arsenal it, or be okay because they're not going to swing a ton of damage at you. They're playing more mid-range games. I actually think I showcased this a little bit in the Olympia matchup. I run that into those decks. Yeah, so that's all of our pumps that we run. We also run Cruel Ambition, which is just a 0-cost red, makes 3 mites go again. It's a good setup card. It's a good card. We have so many cards in hand sometimes when we play that we're going to get IP'd if we don't have ways to just use the cards innately. So having things like Cruel Ambition, you can always just make 3 mites. It's also a great turn 0 card. And you can tie that with like a Basque, pitching 3 and making 6 mites for your next turn. It also triggers the Goon Beatdown, which is cool because you can play that, and then this triggers because you control 3 mites. So this becomes a 4-power on-hit boo, which is really cool. It's a cool interaction to have access to in this format. But yeah, so we run that. We also run... Where's our other non-attack that? Cheap Shot in the sideboard. I run this in most matchups. There's a few matchups I don't, and again, it usually comes down to the really, really fast ones where having a 2 block that I can't guarantee I'm going to be booed instantly, it can just feel kind of weird. I don't know. I think this card goes into like most matchups, but sometimes it just depends on the hero, really. I don't have a perfect explanation as to when I want to run it or don't run it. I just kind of look at the hero I'm playing into and kind of think like, how often are they going to have either no cards in hand or are they going to really hate to lose a card? And I think I do it more with decks that usually need to hold 1 or 2 to swing a weapon. So the Guardians on Warriors who are running like Decimator Axe. And it makes their math really awkward. I think that's just better. But yeah, it's a really good card. You could probably run it in every matchup. I just have other options like the Nimblism. And if you weren't running the Nimblism package, like maybe you'd run it in every match. But it's just my own preference. But yeah, that's all of our non-attacks. We're running a couple instants, these Battered and Not Brokens and Slap Happies. Lyath's ability halves our blocking, so having instants that just prevent 2 are really nice. They just always work. They don't get halved by his ability, so you can just hold on to them. They also make mites and vigors, and I think you could run 2 of either of these if you preferred. I'm running 1 of each just because genuinely I could not find 2 copies of Slap Happy at the moment. Or maybe I couldn't find 2 of Battered Not Broken. I just didn't have 2 copies of one of these, so I'm just running 1 of each at the moment. I think I like Battered Not Broken more because most of the time my stuff doesn't cost anything. I mean, usually have Garland available to pay for like a weird 1-cost Revolting Gesture or a low blow or something like that. But I'm just running 1 of each. They both prevent 2. They do the same thing. You know, doesn't really matter that much which one you want to run. And then we run Polarity in the sideboard for the Arcane matchups. Yeah, and so aside from that, we have our attack actions. Touched a little bit on low blow. 1 for 3 gets booed, gets +3, so it's a 1 for 5 with Lyath's ability. Pair it with a blue and a Prime the Crowd or a Villainous Pose, and you pitch a blue, play the Villainous, so Prime the Crowd. You know, +4, +7, +2, so you're looking at 9. A 3-card 9, which is pretty average, but could be nice if you have it parked in Arsenal. You have one of these in Arsenal, just 2-card hand, and yeah. Good synergies. Also triggers on Minnowism, triggers on Nimblism. So overall, yeah, and it blocks 3, which is crazy good. So we run that. Mocking Blow we run. You can boo yourself instantly with Lyath's ability, so you can almost always get these to trigger. sometimes you have more health, so you get lucky and you can do it twice and double boo yourself to make some extra mites for the next turn. I'm also running Spew Obscenities, which is the Reviled Guardian attack, blocks 3. We almost always control a confidence or might, mostly might. Whether we've been booed from the ability, we can boo ourselves on demand. And when it hits, you can create a confidence and might. So you can always boo yourself after you play this to get a retroactive +1 to get over the top and make the confidence and might, and you can use it to set up right before your big turn. If they have the confidence, they can't block super well. So you can kind of set yourself up to win if you just have a huge hit the next turn. And yeah, we also run Short Shrift and We Wrecking Ball, which are just the yellow guardian attacks from Super Slam. One has a crush they discard, and one has a crush that destroys Arsenal. They both have when their attack is greater than their base, they get a +1. So as long as you have 1 might, this comes with the ability will. I'm sorry, you have to get this +2. My bad, because it goes down to 2, and then you give it a +1. It goes back to 3, and so it's still at its base. But I mean, all these things pump like a Nimblism gives it +3, which makes this 5/6. So it just works. And yeah, Wrecking Ball is the same thing. And they're 0 cost. So they're easy to deploy when you have low resource turns. We run Basket on Ingredients. We touched on this earlier as well. We pay 3 to make might tokens, good for turn 0. Or just an odd turn where they aren't going to be able to do much back. You can set up a little. We run Goon Beatdown. We touched on that as well. The +3 of the auras. We also run Overload, which is really sick. It has Dominate innately, so like mid-late game, if you can just pump this up a little bit, they just can't even do anything about it because it's dominated, and what are they going to do? It also has on-hit Go Again, so sometimes you can just use that. It won't kill them, but you will get Go Again to use your Helm of Eisen's Peak, or you Go Again to swing another attack if they're at 1, something like that. And then we run Power Play. This card may come out of the deck. I haven't fully decided. I haven't run into too many issues with it yet, but sometimes holding a blue to play this out of Arsenal can be a little awkward when you also draw things like Prime the Crowd or Villainous Pose or Sadistic Scowl. And we run 12 blues. This isn't a ton of blues, but it's enough usually to make 1 blue per hand work with the math. But when you need 2, it can be a little awkward. So sometimes I don't want to play this until late game when I know I only have when I have a much higher density of blues in the deck, so I know that it'll trigger easier. But yeah, I've thought about taking this out. I just haven't at the moment. I still like it. So, but yeah, that is the deck. It has been running pretty well. Like I said, I've had some turns where I'm throwing 18 to 20 damage. 15 to 20 damage 2-3 turns in a row almost mid game by chaining some might tokens and just really good pumps. And it's been super fun and interactive, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna get you guys some gameplay. All right, we are back running Lyath into Olympia. Some more Silver Age gameplay here. Assumed it was probably gonna be Decimator build. They're just gonna pass. I think I'm okay with that. I like being able to mock and blow. Do the Lyath thing on my own turn, so I think we're just gonna go Nimblism here. Into could do the low blow, but playing the mocking blow does allow us to Lyath and then cheap shot and then Arsenal the low blow, which is maybe even better. Yeah, I think that's better. I like that play a little more. Less heads up makes the other player think a little bit. Maybe they'll let 1 or 2 leak over if they don't overblock so much. And if they don't, I mean, I don't technically have to do anything here. I can just let this stay at 4 if they want to block 9 or 10, We RP ourselves, but either way. We got Stonewall and Pass here is the shield. Hopefully they're running a lot of actions and non-attack, or some of like non-attack actions and things like that for the weapon. So we can maybe catch a winning clash here and get an extra block on it. Helm of Eisen's Peak, it's a longer game, so we're going to try and get that 6-card hand later. Using Garland as well. And then the Bracers for sure still, and the Blade Beckoner Boots, because it's just a free 2 block for us. Okay, so they're blocking 4. Yeah, we'll Lyath. That's cool. Maybe they don't have some defense stuff. They could have reactions. They probably do, considering Olympia's Decimator build is very, very defensive and reaction heavy. But who knows? Maybe they didn't draw any this turn, right? And I'm just going to let that resolve on its own first. Okay, they had a nice Springboard Summer, so that's fine. I'm going to try the cheap shot now, just to see if they're going to give me a card. Because that'd be cool with another card from hand. Nice, so we just take 2 over the top. Arsenal out low blow and pass. Oh, it does trigger Wounded Bull, so okay, cool. We only have we only have 1, 2 pumps this turn. So let's see. We have an opportunity to get going with this Captain's Call. So we could theoretically villainous pose. We could do Captain's Call into, like, we have what, a might token, so this is going to come in for 2, 3, 4 to bonus pose to the low blow, but blocking 4, taking 4. We could use Lyath's ability here, make another might for this swing. And then Arsenal the short shrift. Kind of like arsenaling the short shrift here. I think that's probably a good card to arsenal. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to just block through 3, 4 Lyath to make this 5. We'll make a might. Villainous pose into the low blow. And we don't win that, but that's okay. It doesn't really do it. It's not the end of the world if we don't win those. We have 2 mites. We're going to get plus 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going for 11, which will be pretty good. Hopefully we can slowly pull some other equipment out, and then we can catch them with an overload near the end of the game. Is kind of the plan. Yeah, and then we'll just come in with that low blow for 11. I'm assuming he's going to have a D-react of sorts, so red unmovable. Okay. Still 4 over the top, which is pretty good, unless he has another D-react. A lot of these big defense reactions make... Oh, and over Steel Blade Shot. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we don't take the damage, and there's nothing coming back at us this turn, which is good. So we just needed to draw some pumps, and we draw none. That's unfortunate. But what we can do is we'll just Lyath then. We're going to swing this short shrift, I think. Yeah. Because we're going to have a pretty good swing back, and I would like to have some defensive potential, so holding both of these I think is a good idea. We'll make 3 more mites. And we'll just swing the short shrift for 5. I mean, it's a really easy block for them, which is what it is. We do no pumps that turn, which is a little unfortunate. Running the deck's about 50% attack actions and 50 non-attack pumps. I think it's like 18 and 20, with these 2 being the only non of either of those. Technically, Cruel Ambition's not a pump either, and it was cheap shot. So I mean, that puts it to what, like 15. 16 non-attack pumps, and we just did not draw one that turn, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. It might be nice to have those a little later anyway when they have less equipment block. And them getting no value out of the Steel Blade and the Unmovable, which is nice, because that just denies them damage to us. So yeah. And then we're going to have 2 prevention effects, which will cover up 4, which is nice, because these don't get halved by Lyath's ability, so just It's kind of, and we'll get an extra might and an extra vigor, which is pretty good. He's going to lower health. It makes me wonder if he's going to swing another, like, maybe like a Fiendals or something like that. I'm just going to arsenal one of those. Doesn't really matter which one we arsenal, in my opinion. Okay, I got a felling swing here. Nice. And then decimators for 9. So block 1. Prevent 4 here because it's 5, so we're just taking 4 damage over the top. Our turn could be making 3 more mites, prime the crowd into a mocking blow again, which is pretty good. So I think we're going to go for that line because that boos us and gives us the ability. We don't have more health, so we don't get double booed, but that's okay. And keep setting up these. The cruel ambitions are nice because we can kind of keep chaining might tokens. And it just gives us extra value. Because if we Lyath this turn, we'll have 5. I don't know if we have the resources. I think we do, actually. Prime, pitching the overload, play the cruel ambition, and swing the mocking blow here for 11. And then we can still boo again, get 5 might tokens for next turn. And if we draw, and I pump the Swift Strike bracers here, you know, I think, you know, we're looking good. Hopefully they have to give us a little tempo. We'll see. Depends on they have a react here. So if they do, maybe they just swing for 4 and then we have a really big turn. Nice. Yeah, they do. Again, taking no damage from that. And we have a prime the crowd on top. This basking your own greatness, which I honestly might swing, because then I can continue chaining those. Yeah, it's probably the best play here because we can use the cheap shot again. And I'm gonna pay 3 into it. Or we're gonna pay 2 into it. I lied. Because then we can use the other 2 to Lyath. Forgot we had the floater from the vigor, or from the leftover from the prime the crowd. But yeah, swinging 10. We got another 3. We'll have 4 more coming next turn. Just kind of keep those mites chained until we can pull a turn where we can pull like 2 or 3 of those pumps with the nimblism. Go +3, +4, +5, +8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe. And then come in for like a 16, 17 powered attack to really take tempo. That's kind of the strategy, especially with the overloads late game that has dominate. They're not going to be able to block with the equipment. So if they start giving us these earlier, we can steal some games. Just going to say block 5, we'll Lyath. We'll cheap shot here too. We might as well get it over with now. There's no point in holding them. I think they're just free damage or force discard, and they just give us the nice. The damage from that. Okay. So they held some cards to do this, so I'm going to assume they have something here. We did pull a Sadistic Scowl and a Villainous Pose with the Short Shrift and 4 might tokens. So this is probably a turn where we just don't block. And at worst, we take maybe 7 or 8. Hopefully they have like an Iron Song response or something like that, and they just don't get to resolve it because we didn't block from hand. Could be the overpowered reaction that gives +4 as well, put it to 8. But nothing, which is good. That's like best case scenario for us. I'm going to hope they have a resolve in their hand they're just holding on to because I can't do anything with it. We're going to go for a big attack here. And we're going to short shrift for 16 here, which is pretty nice. We don't get to chain a ton of our mites this time. They only have 3 cards to block with in their equipment, so hopefully... And if they don't block enough, they just discard the other card anyway, and they just lose the value on it. So currently taking 10, they just die at this point, so they have to block with something. And they play the unmovable. Nice, so we're 3 over the top. Decent. Cool, so we have an option here to... No, we can't, never mind. They get their card back. Maybe it was a red, though. They just can't do anything. There's our Nimblism and the Overload. So this is a good timing for us to see those. He's just going to move to end. So I'm going to guess he had a red in hand, which is about as good as it gets. I think I'm assuming he doesn't have a D-React in Arsenal because he has the same card in Arsenal he's had for a while. And I want to say it's an attack reaction of sorts, like an Iron Song. So I'm going to think the Dominate here is probably pretty good. And I think I'm going to go for it. Because we're at +1, 4, 7, 8, 9. So it'll be 10 Dominate. He has a 3 and a 1, though. I mean, it still does the thing. I think we might be better off just... It would hit, though, which would allow us to use the floater to helm, actually. I'll probably do that, because this most likely hits and gets go again. And then we can use that floater to pop helm and Arsenal the Wii Wrecking Ball, which will give us a 7-card hand next turn, which... we draw some pumps is pretty gnarly. Yeah, I like it. We could have saved... Well, actually, we couldn't have saved the Swift Strike because that was our last Nimblism. Sometimes I run 4 copies. I run the yellow copies as well as the reds when I'm doing like aggro matchups, just because I don't know if I'm going to see it if there's only 2 copies. But running just the reds when I see it, I usually just pop it as soon as I see them. Except I think that's the first one at turn 0, so like I can't do it on turn 0, you know. He has a Steel Blade, which is fine. Which means 5 gets over the top, which is sick. Puts him to 2, so we can force him to respect the block here. Or we just helm and then Arsenal, which I think we do. And we just draw some pumps and a blue. Lovely. Coming in for 7. The only 0-cost reaction that gives it the plus has to be blocked out of hand. And he has no floating, so I think we're safe to just take 7 here. I don't think there's any 0-cost attack reactions that just pump in this deck. I'm pretty sure. Alright, cool. He did not. So that is perfect. We are going to probably snatch the game on this one, hopefully. Minnowism. We're going to play the Revolting Gesture. Pitching the Mocking Blow so we can swing the Wrecking Ball from Arsenal. For a total of 18. He's only got 3 cards to block with. He's at 2 out. There's no way he's going to be able to defend this. And I think we're probably fine here. Yeah. Now I want to see what that Arsenal was because I'm curious. But overall, that was a great game. I think we played that really well. It was the response the whole time. All right, we're going to be going into a Briar here. Running the Lyath Silver Age deck here, trying to just output damage. Going first, we got Nimblism here, and a Minnowism. Part of me thinks we can honestly just swing a huge, decent attack with this Overload, try and get some damage over the top. So I think I'm going to do that. So we're currently +6 is coming in for 7 Overload, 7 Dominate. We had 9 Dominate, but I don't think I want to waste the Swift Strikes quite yet, so just swing that. Maybe we'll get a couple points of damage over the top. We'll Arsenal this attack. Made it a little easier to see. So they're either going to give us some equipment or... Nice. And it hits, so we do have go again, which is kind of cool. So we have an option here. We can just swing this, but I think, honestly, we just make them IP the damage cards here. We're not fatiguing, so we don't have to worry about fatigue. I mean, we could. No, I'm just gonna pass. I wanted to arsenal that card though. That was supposed to. Yes, pass arsenal. There we go. Nice. Seeing that when we have the polarity is pretty solid. I want to stay above them in health so this mocking blow triggers with this prime the crowd. Just in case they have a second one, I'm just gonna take the 4 here. Okay. They're fusing. Okay, so take 0. We're gonna gain 4 here. So I think we can block 2, take 2, put us to 12, gain 4, it'll put us back up to 18, or 16. Minus 2, 12, plus 4, 16, so that does not trigger with that. So we're gonna block 3 here. We need this blue to pay for the prime the crowd. I want to just have the cruel ambition to just have the extra block, but I don't think it's worth it. Let's just give us an extra. Yeah, I think we're just gonna just take 2 here. We'll just get booed an extra time from the horn. There's arcane polarity back to 18, and then we'll take 2. He has a flittering charge. He's going to be arsenaling here. But we have a pretty nasty turn. We're going to make 3 more. We're going to prime, which boos us, and then we're going to mocking blow here, which, yeah, pretty nice string. Coming for 15, I think. Oh no, it's just 11, but still. Puts him to 8. What a floater, not the end of the world. Probably have a pretty good turn here. Our goal is just to stay alive so we can swing back this obscenities. We know they have a flittering charge. We're just going to win for 4 and 1, so it's 5. So taking that will go to 1, so it's just whatever this 1 card left over is. We have a Battered Not Broken showing to kind of prevent from a thing, a pump, so I'm just going to take that here. Take the 1. So if this goes to 7, we have to prevent 2. We just hope he doesn't have a lightning press. If there's a lightning press, we just die. Yeah, we actually can block. Yeah, we could block 2 here. Okay, glad we did. Because we have that. So I'm going to take 3, go to 2. But I did have go again, and I do believe they have the sword here. But we have blade backer, which I think will cover up 1. Yep. Nice. Now we just pray they don't draw a zap from hand, and yeah. Swing the rolling gesture to the minnowism. And we just pray they don't have the zap. I mean, that's really all we can do here. They're giving us the whole hand. And that's just enough damage to take them over the top. So, yeah, super solid game. We had a really nice lineup there at the end, threatening 18. And they had no more equipment block. With that arsenal, though, attack in there and using the chest piece to get the resource for the revolting gesture. So, yeah, super solid turn. They had a really good start, but we just had a much better turn 2 and 3. So. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I've been really loving Lyath recently. It wasn't a deck that I was really thinking about playing at first, but I've been thinking about just like cool synergies you can build in Silver Age. And Lyath has 5 cards in hand, which is just like more than anyone else. And his ability, yeah, they have the defense, but I think his offensive output can just outweigh that sometimes. I think it's really cool. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay as much as I did. I'm going to be trying to make more of these like once a week or so is my goal at the moment. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think, how you feel about the deck. If you want to try it out, I'm going to put the deck list in the description probably later this week once I get everything finished up. And, yeah, thank you guys so much for checking it out. Peace. We'll see you next time.